Hi friends. I know it's really late and I hope someone jumps on here so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, but it's okay because it's really late. My topic tonight is something that I struggle with all the time, in numerous ways, both accepting an apology, giving an apology, or moving on without any of it. And so it's weighing heavy on my mind, and this topic makes me incredibly uncomfortable, which is why it's a topic. And so like my normal previous post, I'm going to share some quotes. But tonight's topic is forgiveness. And the first one is Maya Angelou, and it says, "I don't know if I continue even today always liking myself. But what I learned to do many years ago was to forgive myself. It is very important for every human being to forgive herself or himself, because if you live, you will make mistakes. It is inevitable. But once you do and you see the mistake, then you forgive yourself and say, well, if I'd known better, I'd have done better. That's all." And then the next quote is, it's unknown, but it's really important to me personally for this message. And it is, "Forgive those who insult you, attack you, belittle you, or take you for granted. But more than this, forgive yourself for allowing them to hurt you." A lot of us, I hope, are good-hearted by nature. And in my professional catastrophe this year, I've had to do a lot of forgiving myself. I'm not even accomplishing that, honestly, yet. But because I can't make anybody apologize to me, I'm going to have to move on without an apology. And I guess forgive myself for allowing shitty things to happen. And like Maya Angelou said, well, if I'd known better, I'd have done better. That's all. So the first thing I wrote down tonight is the good old saying, forgive and forget. And I said, let's be honest, there are some things that happen in our lives where we would be only harming ourselves to forget. And I hope that makes sense. Sometimes people can hurt us so much that should you forgive and forget, I feel like there's a part of you that's not protecting yourself, or there's a part of you that's saying that was okay. And one of my sisters has always been an advocate for saying, if you receive an apology, you say thank you. You don't say it's okay, because if it was okay, then they don't need to apologize. I said, if you are lucky enough to ever get an apology from someone who has really done you wrong, consider yourself just very lucky and absolutely take that apology, because there are a lot of people in this world who have had to accept an apology that they never got, or forgive someone who wasn't sorry. And I think those things go more so for protecting yourself. There's been definitely one or two people three people in my life who have hurt me so much, but I know that the day will never come when they sit down and say they're sorry, because they probably have reasons in their head to be just so angry. And so you're going to have to move on. We can't explain ourselves to every single person. And it takes me, the not forgetting part, it takes me back up to the quote about forgive those who insult you, attack you, belittle you, or take you for granted. But more than this, forgive yourself for allowing them to hurt you. So I feel like sometimes you can't forget, because there was a lesson to be learned there. Whenever I find myself in arguments with people, or giving advice to people about arguments they may be in, is I always try to flip the script. That's a saying that I use a lot, flip the script. Because if it's two people who are incredibly upset and hurt by each other, it's only beneficial to take a moment and try to see where they are coming from. If you can, that's wonderful. Maybe you can see why their feelings are as strong as they are. And then I have that's what I was gonna say, that if you're hurt and it's an argument, the other person's just as hurt. So it's like this. And it leads me to, sometimes you have situations in your life that involve somebody else where everybody feels they deserve the apology, and you're not going to get anywhere. And I wrote down, pick your battles, flip the script, see if you're the one that could see eye to eye, see if you can see their perspective. Trying to understand someone's perspective does not acknowledge that they are right. That's one thing I've learned in this world, is we all see things differently, and sometimes it helps to jump in and try to see someone else's perspective. It doesn't mean that you agree. You're just trying to see through their eyes, because their passion is sometimes as strong as yours. And sometimes the argument or battle, as I wrote, can be so disastrous that you can only forgive someone, and you can't forget. And I know that sounds really crazy and hypocritical, but there comes a time in your life when you have to become self-aware. And so you can only forgive and move on and not forget. And for me personally, I love my friendships, my relationships with people. I'll be the first one to try to figure out where things went wrong. I'm not one to talk quickly, but I will think a lot. And I wrote down here, for me, there is only one thing that you can say or do that will make a relationship irreparable, unrepairable. And that's if you bring my kids into it. Because that's no longer about my individuality, me forgiving you for hurting me. But once you've involved my kids, that's just a line that can't be crossed, because I have to be the one to defend and protect my kids. And if there's a line drawn and you drew it, you're on the other side. So you're just not there anymore. I also wrote down a question. When is choosing to hold feelings and words inside worth it? When your truths can forever change a relationship. When is it easier to carry some pain rather than to defend yourself? Hey, Katie, I didn't read tonight. Things got crazy around here. It is okay, Katie. You can read anytime you want. There are particular situations in my life where I would rather carry the pain than explain it. You know, that's just me, especially if I were to sit down and unload stuff that I know will definitely change things forever. I would rather just not and hold it in. And I don't know if anyone else out there is like that. You would rather hold it in, and I know someone would relate to this, take the blame maybe, or just hold it in and go on like nothing bothers you. That's what I choose to do. I choose to just keep going. Especially when it comes to a relationship, a very, very important relationship that is falling apart. I don't want to be the one that breaks it. So, I also wrote about self-awareness. Self-awareness is, in my opinion, when someone can acknowledge their own triggers for their anxiety or for their depression, and avoid it. If you can notice what it is, to not put yourself in places and with certain people, professionally or personally, that make you feel uncomfortable or insecure. I think choosing to not put myself in positions that make me uncomfortable or make me feel insecure, I think that's a great thing called self-awareness. And very recently, I'm going to share this. Very recently, I was called a self-centered bitch. And it was by someone I care about. And in the reality, this goes back to like 2 seconds ago when I say I hold in my truths because blah, say blah. But I understood where this person was coming from with their feelings, because I have, in fact, distanced myself from that person due to the self-awareness. I know this person makes me feel bad about myself. And so I choose to not do a lot of things with this person, which means there's a lot of invitations where I say no thanks, or I would rather do this with my kids, or I would rather go here with my friends. Instead of saying why I don't want to do these things, I just don't, because it makes me mentally healthier to not do these things. But from that person's perspective, I might look like a self-centered bitch. But I can handle that, because if there's one thing I'm certain of in this life, is that I am not self-centered. May have been as a teenager, may have been before I was a mother, and maybe even a little bit when I first became a mom to Emily. I could very well say it was selfish or self-centered or dramatic. But this person that called me a self-centered bitch has no idea who I am now, who I am as a woman, who I am as a professional, who I am as a mother. But instead of explaining to this person why I've distanced myself, I just don't say anything. I also feel like when you approach people to say, hey, you hurt my feelings, a lot of times people become incredibly defensive. Maybe it's just me or people that I know, but it's never successful for me to sit down and say, hey, you've hurt my feelings, because 9 out of 10 times the response is defense, like very defensive. And so that's me picking my battles. If I've got a list of things to tell you that have happened and this is why I've distanced myself, if that list is so long, I know I'm not going to get to number 3. So I choose to not say anything, and I'm not saying that's the healthy way to do this. I'm just trying to live my life now based on what I need, what my family needs. And if that makes me self-centered, then I am. Because at the end of the day, I lay my head down here next to my husband and with my children. And anything outside of this bubble that makes me feel like I am not doing well with that, I'll forgive, but I'm not forgetting. So maybe this wasn't like the most encouraging topic tonight. Maybe I did not say anything helpful at all. Here I am saying forgive people for your own peace of mind, but don't forget, because you're going to get walked on. Forgiveness is for yourself. Whether you have to forgive someone who isn't sorry or someone apologizes to you, the forgiveness part is for your healing, for your moving on. But people of the world, of my village group page, don't forget if it's not worth forgetting. Defend yourself. Take up for yourself. And move on. So, I hope I didn't ramble too much. Like I said, this topic is not one I'm good at by any means. But pray for the ones you love and pray for the ones who don't love you. I got a few. Good night.